There is a reason Criston Cole is the most universally hated man on television right now. He is what happens when a fragile ego gets a taste of power. He's the perfect deconstruction of the modern nice guy, a man who took one romantic rejection and turned it into a lifetime of weaponized misogyny. He's not fighting for honor, and he's not fighting for the crown. He's burning the world down because a woman dared to tell him no. Hi, it's Captain Spoiler here, overthinking pop culture. We're about to dive deep into spoiler territory, so consider yourself warned. Criston Cole is definitely worth overthinking. What makes him so fascinating and so dangerous is that his villainy isn't driven by a desire for the Iron Throne. He doesn't care about the crown. His entire worldview is fueled by a deeply fragile sense of self. He represents a very specific modern pipeline, the journey from a seemingly chivalrous protector to a man who uses his own bruised ego as a justification for horrific violence.
I'm asking you to come with me, away from all of this.
When we first meet Criston Cole, it's incredibly easy to buy into his story. In a world dominated by corrupt lords who inherit everything, Criston is a self-made outsider. He's the son of a steward who fought his way up, earning his spot in the Kingsguard through sheer talent and merit, and maybe a little help from being cute. In a court suffocating under political lies, his obsession with duty and honor feels like a breath of fresh air. But here's the thing about characters who make honor their entire personality. It's often a shield for a massive inferiority complex. For Criston, his white cloak isn't just a uniform, it's his entire net worth. It's the only thing making him relevant in a world that looks down on his bloodline. And that's why his honorable knight persona comes with a hidden toxic tax. Criston doesn't actually understand unconditional loyalty. He operates on a purely transactional mindset. He views morality as a vending machine. He puts in good behavior and expects the world to pay him out in respect and validation. This flaws in the system dynamic becomes explosive when he breaks his vows to sleep with Rhaenyra. Now, to be fair, the power dynamics in that room are incredibly messy. Rhaenyra is the future queen, and he is just a guard. When someone with that much systemic power over you makes a move, the line between a free choice and coercion gets blurry. It's hard to just say no to your boss. But let's look at the other side of the coin, the age dynamic. In this scene, Rhaenyra is still a teenager figuring out her own autonomy. Criston is a fully grown man, an experienced soldier in his mid-20s who spent years navigating the world. So, while she has the political upper hand, he has the advantage of adult maturity, meaning he absolutely shares at least some of the responsibility for what happened. But notice how Criston handles the aftermath. He can't cope with that nuanced, messy reality. Admitting that he, an adult man of honor, willingly made a bad call would destroy his self-image. He can't handle the crushing weight of his own shame, so he takes the easiest way out. He completely strips himself of all agency, rewrites history, and projects 100% of the blame onto Rhaenyra. In his mind, he becomes the helpless little boy, and she becomes the predatory monster who ruined him. Which brings us to his famous, supposed grand romantic gesture, asking the future Queen of Westeros to abandon her birthright, hop on a boat to Essos, and live off selling oranges. On a first watch, it might seem like a fairy tale proposal. In reality, it's a desperate, deeply selfish ultimatum. Criston isn't trying to save Rhaenyra, he's trying to save his own conscience. In his mind, he traded his sacred honor for her pleasure, and now she owes him. He expects her to throw away her crown, her family, and her entire future just to make him feel clean again. He wants to marry her not out of love, but to retroactively validate his sin, to turn a broken vow into a legitimate, socially acceptable marriage. He's demanding that she fix his ruined ego, completely ignoring the fact that he is asking a princess to destroy her life just to soothe his guilt.
Do not think I have no shame in me, sir. The desire for women has brought me grief after grief.
When Rhaenyra says no, choosing her duty and autonomy over his fantasy, it's more than just a heartbreak. It's a catastrophic, fatal injury to Criston's ego. And that is the exact moment he enters the nice guy to Incel Pipeline. See, the core of Incel ideology isn't just about not getting laid, it's about entitlement. It's the belief that if you perform the role of the good, honorable man, you are automatically owed a woman's compliance. When you don't get that compliance, and you choose to let that rejection root itself in your identity, the resentment stays with you, no matter what other relationships you find later on. Inceldom is a mindset, not a virginity status. Since Criston can no longer play the heroic savior, he instantly rewrites the narrative to make himself the helpless prey. Rhaenyra morphs from the woman he loved into a predator who ruined him, a spoiled princess using him like a toy. We see the immediate violent consequence of this psychological break at the royal wedding. The second Joffrey Lonmouth teases him about his secret, Criston snaps and beats him to death in front of the entire court. He is violently trying to destroy the mirror that reflects his own shame. Over the next 20 years, this localized resentment toward one woman curdles into systemic misogyny. He aligns himself with Alicent Hightower because she represents the archetype he approves of: submissive, bound by duty, and equally resentful of Rhaenyra's freedom. And this is where his hypocrisy reaches its absolute peak in Season 2. For 2 decades, Criston justified his hatred of Rhaenyra by claiming she ruined his sacred vows. Yet the moment he gains real political power, he jumps right back into bed, this time with the Queen Mother. While blood is literally being spilled in the Red Keep, Criston is breaking his celibacy again. This romance exposes his entire honorable knight persona as a fraud. He never actually cared about his vows. He just cared about punishing the woman who didn't let him control her. To protect this massive double standard, Criston goes on the offensive. The way he talks about Rhaenyra behind closed doors becomes outright dehumanizing.
Cunning spider.
Spoiled cunt.
A bitch queen.
The whore of Dragonstone.
His hatred stems from a very specific grievance. She dared to exist as an independent person who refused to follow his script. He embodies the classic internet radical, a man who builds his entire identity around hating an ex who moved on, using that shared rage to bond with other angry men and justify a literal war.
I took an oath. As a knight of your Kingsguard. An oath of chastity. I've broken it. I've soiled my white cloak. It is the only thing I have to my fucking name.
Criston Cole refuses to simply sit in a corner and sulk. Instead, his fragile psychology evolves into something far more dangerous: weaponized victimhood. As the timeline skips forward, Criston climbs the political ladder with ruthless efficiency. He becomes the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard and eventually the Hand of the King. He commands the royal armies. He holds the power of life and death over thousands of citizens. By every measurable metric, he is a powerful man. Yet, inside his own mind, he remains that poor, victimized boy who got used by a princess. This mindset serves as a highly effective psychological defense mechanism. By convincing himself that he is the ultimate casualty of Rhaenyra's choices, Criston grants himself a moral blank check. He operates on the belief that because he was hurt once, the world owes him total compliance. We see the terrifying reality of this in Season 2, when he orders Eric Cargill to go on a literal suicide mission to assassinate Rhaenyra, or when he ruthlessly executes lords who refuse to switch sides. He feels zero guilt. In his mind, these aren't acts of unprovoked tyranny. They are righteous karma. He frames every drop of blood he spills as a form of self-defense or cosmic justice. This is the ultimate danger of the weaponized victim complex. It completely blinds a person to their own capacity for evil. Cole uses his 20-year-old heartbreak as a permanent shield, completely deflecting accountability for his present brutality. He has successfully re-engineered his narrative. Every act of cruelty he inflicts is just squaring an imaginary ledger with the woman who told him no. Ultimately, Criston Cole is a cautionary tale about the danger of unexamined shame. His story highlights a tragic reality: the crushing weight of realizing that the chaos you helped unleash has outgrown you entirely. By the end of Season 2, a new layer of cold nihilism blankets his character. After witnessing the horrific reality of dragon warfare at Rook's Rest, Cole returns as a walking ghost. The arrogant, self-righteous knight is gone, replaced by a man completely undone by trauma. For a brief moment, it looks like the horror has finally forced a crack in his armor. As he stares into the distance, hollow and trembling, it feels like the sheer scale of the apocalypse has broken his spirit, perhaps even bringing him to the devastating realization that his own petty, decades-long vendetta is what helped ignite this literal hell on earth. But characters like Criston never actually accept accountability. Moving into Season 3, don't expect a redemption arc. True to his mindset, Cole will inevitably find a way to blame Rhaenyra for this apocalypse too. In his twisted logic, her refusal to submit is what forced him to burn the realm. He will weaponize the very horror he witnessed to justify even greater cruelty, proving that a fragile ego will happily watch the world turn to ash as long as it means never having to say, "I was wrong." George R.R. Martin and the showrunners created a villain who resonates deeply because his trajectory is terrifyingly human. Cole shows us that the most destructive people aren't those who want to watch the world burn for fun, but those who believe the world owes them an apology. His true tragedy stems from his own choices. He allowed a 20-year-old rejection to rot his humanity, trapping himself in a prison of his own making and turning his internal weakness into a literal war. So, what do you guys think about Criston Cole? Did you feel any sympathy for him in the beginning, or did you see the red flags from episode 1? Do you see him as a genuinely tragic figure who got crushed by a broken system? Or is he just a textbook incel who burned the world down out of spite? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching and see you next time.